Hello and welcome to Seismic Cinema, making my big return after missing Paul's guest appearance last week. So put B2MO. Oh, I messed it up. No, I've got it. Put your feet up on B2MO to stop the broadcast. Grab your hammer, because that guy is the real hero of the show, and prepare to scream one way out for the next hour and possibly longer, depending on how long we talk. What to you, Paul?
Well, Colin, you've shown our weaknesses already from the start. Honestly, it takes like three takes to get a good intro out of Colin, and I'm guessing it's because he didn't read his own handwriting.
Yeah, I write shorthand and I can't read it.
He writes in hieroglyphics. That's what his problem is. So this week we are doing a recap of Andor season 1, and we are joined by the great podcast that is the Moshe Farm Report, Adam and James. So glad to have you on. You guys are usually the highlights of my Wednesday. I'm a bit sad now because we're in between seasons. But yeah, love listening to the show, so it's great to have you on.
Well, yeah, thank you very much. I think we can say I think I can speak for James when I say thank you for having us on. It's really great to be here, and thank you for having us, James. There you go. Over to you.
Yeah, it's our first guest appearance on a podcast. I'm really excited. It feels kind of like honoured to have been invited on. And to be the highlight of your Wednesday as well. I'm starting to wonder if we're the only podcast that you listen to on a Wednesday.
Well, one could say it's a seismic honour, to be honest. Like, just putting it out there.
That seems like a guy who will know our tagline at the end of the episode, Paul. What do you think?
We will invoice you for that, by the way.
I didn't specifically know that you came out on a Wednesday, but I have listened to quite a few of yours. I've kind of listened to them like a weird order. Like, I've just kind of picked ones that took my fancy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Instead of watching them in a particular order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing the old episode 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9 sort of way of doing our podcast, which is quite.
My favorite was definitely the Yariel Puth.
Oh, that was a fun one to
do. Because I've read some of the High Republic books, and obviously they were in that. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, it's a fun one to record. We always
a good one
love
to do,
digging
isn't
into.
It?
Yeah, we always love digging into like those background characters that.
Yeah.
So people like no one can remember the names apart from like one person who's just a mad fan for that character.
Yeah.
Coleman Trevor, I'm sure. Someone
yes, the one and only. Well, that's what we sort of
mentioned. He gets mentioned all the time in yours.
Yeah. I mean, that's how we started the podcast, right, James? We were just sitting there thinking, like, why isn't there a podcast that's talking about all the like background characters and stories that nobody's ever heard of? And we were just sitting there bored and thinking, let's start a podcast about it. Why not?
Yeah, I can't remember what character we were thinking of. I think it was like the Rancor Keeper from Jabba's Palace.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
we stumbled across a story about him and thought, this is insane. Why is no one talking about this character? And saying that, we still haven't done an episode on that character, so we will come back to that.
What was our first? Our first one was on the little creature, Jabba the Hutt's little pet. I forget. Salacious B. Crumb. There we go. That was our first episode.
I've got the action figure of the Rancor Keeper. If you want them for like a promo picture.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, that would be nice.
That's a good find.
Thank you.
So,
sorry.
Oh, you go, Paul.
No, I was going to say like Colin was talking about Yariel Puth being like a favourite kind of episode. I think my favourite one was the first one I ever listened to you guys, and it was the Umbara arc in the Clone Wars.
The Darkness of Umbara episode. Yeah.
Was that the one where you had a massive hangover, Adam?
I didn't have a hangover. I was just really ill that day, so I felt so under the weather. And I remember that day really well because I prepared notes for that, so like a lot of notes for it. And yeah, I remember on the run up to you, I was kind of like, James, I'm really sorry today. I just feel bad. Like, you've got to have my back for this one. And then and then it was like I think it was probably one of the episodes I did most talking for. So quite a difficult one to do when you're really ill. So not drunk. Yeah. Thank you very much.
I didn't say drunk. I said hungover. There's a difference.
Fair play.
Post drunk.
I know the feeling. The last podcast I did, which was our MCU discussion, I had like a really bad cough and basically no voice. But because I control the StreamYard and Paul doesn't want to take it, I just came on and soldiered on.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's commitment to the craft.
Brilliant.
So I thought we'd do a wee segment before we get into all things Andor. We started doing a wee segment just what are we watching, because it's always quite interesting just to hear any movies or TV shows that people are into, because this is a bit of common ground there. So who wants to start us off? Have you watched any good movies or TV shows in the last wee while?
Ooh.
I actually just came in from watching Black Panther at the cinema, Wakanda Forever, which has a lot of fun. It's good seeing Namor on the screen, like for he's one of those characters you never think you're ever going to see a film of. The guy in his swimming trunks with wings on his feet, and yet like it's got to that point where we're starting to put those characters in films. It's so good to see them.
Yeah,
I've not seen it yet.
It's good. I recommend it.
I don't know. I was going to say a TV show because I've only been watching Star Wars at the moment for the most part. But I guess recently I watched Hail Caesar, which was like a Coen Brothers film. Which
I've seen that. I've seen that.
I love all the stuff about the Coen Brothers. I love all of their films. And yeah, just like there's this whole bit where George Clooney I think it's George Clooney, right, in that film, and he gets like abducted by these like shady writers, and he gets held hostage by this writers group who won't let him go on this like paradise beach hut apartment. It's just like the wackiest film ever. And here's a Star Wars tie-in.
I know.
You know it, yeah. Go on. Go on, say it.
Alden Ehrenreich's in it. Han Solo.
That's it. Han Solo's in it.
That's the only reason I remember that film, because I remember when they were casting him in Star Wars. I remember they mentioned he was in that.
Yeah. And I forget he plays this sort of like kind of stuck up but and very idiotic actor who can't really think for himself, kind of thing. So it's quite funny. But yeah.
Sorry, I got far too overexcited there. I was just like, there's so many films that I've been caught out on this for not knowing. So when I seen one, I got really excited.
That's like me as well. So you're in the same boat as me, man. But yeah.
Anyone else? Paul?
What have I been watching? I got made to watch a bit of a Netflix series called One of Us Is Lying.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
I watched actually a lot of the first season, and it was okay. The second season, I just want everybody to die, and they're not. It's like one of the shows where they're like kids and they keep making like the wrong choices, wrong mistakes, they keep making things worse.
Yeah.
Themselves deeper into things. And it's like just put them in their misery.
Classic horror film trope. That stop making the wrong bloody decisions, please. Like, come on.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
What about you, Colin?
So I put Andor down because I watched it today, and I'm watching The Crown season 5 with the missus. Not as good as previous seasons, in my opinion. I don't know if any of you have watched any of The Crown.
I haven't. No.
It's good. Like, I'm not enjoying this season as much. What's that, Paul?
Nothing.
I keep getting told I need to watch The Crown, and I've just it's one of those shows I've just never got round to, and I don't know if I ever will.
It's got a really good cast. Like the cast changes every couple of seasons because they age the character up. But it's enjoyable for the most part, I'd say. My new obsession, and I've mentioned it to Paul a few times, is a Superstore. The comedy.
Okay.
So fun. It's so fun. It's only like 20 minutes an episode, and I quite like watching a wee short episode of something before work in the morning. And it's just like so silly, but it's fun.
Yeah. That's why I kind of really felt it was refreshing when Tales of the Jedi came out, and I finally had something just to binge, like a 20-minute thing before I could get to work, and it was like, oh, this is great, fantastic. Also, with the World Cup being on, I've been watching quite a few football documentaries. So there was one all about the real Ronaldo on BBC iPlayer, all about his career. So that was really interesting. Sorry. I think we spied a cat in your camera right there.
Yeah.
That was really cute. Let me
Yeah, I
just.
clocked him.
Yeah, we got him. He's right there.
Yeah.
Going their bum.
He, he always makes an appearance, and Paul's dogs will probably make an appearance as well.
James, you should get your cat to make. You should get your cat to make an
Yeah, I'll
appearance
see
now.
if I can tempt her in at some point.
Cool.
Right, well, we get into the discussion then, because we've got 12 juicy episodes full to discuss.
Oh my gosh, there's so many.
So I said to you at the start, I've mentioned things like favorite character, favorite moments, favorite monologues, favorite cameos, but I think we just kind of throw it all into the mixer and see what happens.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, that there is a lot to cover. There's a lot of ground to cover. And I remember me and James were talking this morning and thinking, like, in our own sort of making our own notes and things like, where do we start? And we weren't too sure, but we naturally just went on to, I think we started on our general thoughts, right? We just thought like generally what we thought about the show. And I think we can both say is like we loved it, we enjoyed it. And I know for a fact that I really enjoyed it. And I think one of the reasons I enjoyed Andor so much was because of how it focuses mainly on the little people in Star Wars, which is a trope which is usually plagues Star Wars, and which is, you know, you can see it in all sorts of films and all sorts of media. But in this one in particular, you know, we spend so much time with just the common everyday person who is then pushed to the point where they have to make a decision about where they go and whether they go to the bad side or the good side or the ambivalent side. And, you know, we follow people like Kino Loy and people like and people like Brasso, who in everyday life or in any other situation would know when, you know, they wouldn't be near any sort of conflict or any uprising in any way. But it's so interesting to see these people get pushed to the point where they have to make that decision. And we get to spend so much time with them. And it's a joy to do so. James?
Yeah, I think that like the little people is something that, like you said, we don't really see that often. We see kind of princesses and Jedi and crime lords and imperial officers. Even on the bad guy side, like the people we see they're not, you know, Grand Moff Tarkin. They're like Cyril Khan and Linus Mosk. They're just these kind of downtrodden corporate police, and we get to see like the effects of the Empire and what it is just filtered down onto sort of street level. So I don't know where to start with this at all, because when I was trying to write notes earlier, I opened up a Word document. I was like, I don't know, where do I start? I love this show so much. I just sat in front of this document for like 5 minutes. I was like, Andor was good, I think.
Well, I think we should head down the pub or something, because their memory of the names scared me off already.
Don't worry, we're not that scary.
I think a good way to approach it could be literally just blurt out things that we liked. I'm going to start with the prison stuff was terrifying, chilling, but really, really memorable, I'd say.
Yeah. I really like all the prison stuff, mainly because I'm quite a fan of dystopia, in the sense that I love any sort of media that presents something that is all-encompassing, threatening, no way in, no way out, you know, ever closing walls type situation. And the way they presented that prison was so scary and so dystopian. It was just something plucked out of a George Orwell novel. But there was something really sickly and hospital-like with just like how like it was just these white, pristine, shiny walls everywhere, like mixed in with this dread, like filling in with every single sequence. And that's not even getting onto like the brilliant cameos that are in that freaking sequence, they were amazing.
It reminded you of Camino. It reminded me of Camino quite a lot.
Yes.
The white colors and the clean aspect of it.
Yeah, it did almost feel like a lab in a way. Like it was just kind of sterile and like everything was smooth. And you kind of got the impression like there's always somebody in there just cleaning off every surface. Which like after we see that old guy die, I can't remember his name. It makes me wonder just like how many times they have to sterilize it because people have died in the hallways, or like that guy who fried himself at night and just thinking like, what does that take to clean off the floor? Is that why it's so sparkling all the time? Because they're just constantly cleaning up dead bodies. It's like it's horrible.
Yeah.
I think the way they portrayed the Empire in this show was just some of because there was the torture scenes with Bix as well.
yeah.
Yeah,
And the creepy scientist guy.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he kind of came across quite nice, and then it was just like, and by the way, the screams of these dying civilizations are going to ring in your ears.
Here's something I made earlier.
But
there's an awful part of me that wants to know what that sounded like. Like, I love the way they did that, where they just kind of put their headphones on and it was silent, and you got to imagine what it's like. But I'm like, if it sounds so terrible, what does it sound like?
It's the precursor.
Is it just Rick Astley?
Boar Gullet. Oh, you guys should do a Boar Gullet episode.
Well, that's
episode.
what I was saying. It paralleled the Boar Gullet. Like, it was the same thing, but on the other side. So it was, that was really cool.
Something I absolutely loved was sorry, Paul, you go.
No, I was going to say, I can't wait to see what you guys are going to do with that, because there's so many like interesting characters in Andor. Like, I can't wait to see what you guys are going to come up with. Like your deep dives and your what ifs.
Well, James, we've already got our eye on a few, haven't we?
I know who.
Yes, I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, but I know we have.
You have to do one on Andy Serkis's character.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I forgot his name.
Kino, you got it. Kino Loy, that's the one.
Yes.
How did they keep that so quiet? The fact that he was in it.
Yeah, did they keep it quiet, or have we just missed that announcement somewhere and everyone else is expecting it?
I don't think it was known at all, and I pay quite close attention to like casting news and things like that.
Yeah,
it's like that's a huge cameo to just slip in there without anyone letting it slip, or any kind of like set photos coming out of him there.
Did you see all the theories that this is Snoke's origin story?
Yeah.
Of course.
I was waiting for him to like bump his head on a railing or something to get the kind of scar that Snoke has.
We haven't seen him die yet, so anything's possible.
How sad was that when he couldn't swim?
Yeah. Well, we were wondering whether he actually know that there was only that the one way out was going to be the water, and he didn't know. Like, did he just expect to get to the roof and there to be like a ominously placed like 1,000 balloons he could just grab hold of and just like fly off into the sunset? Did he know?
Yeah, because if I was there chanting one way out, I'd be thinking, oh, of course, the one way is we're going to like steal a fighter or something and fly out of here. And then he just gets up there and is like, oh, no, wait, it's swimming.
That's
the one thing I can't do.
Yeah, I'm not a confident swimmer myself, and I don't really like deep water, so I can really emphasize in that situation.
And that's a big jump to do. That's a big jump.
Yeah,
like, you probably break your legs when you hit the water.
And fall on top of each other because they're all just jumping in willy-nilly.
I think this is a good time
probably fall in and get teabagged by somebody jumping in.
I think this is a good time to mention the two monologues in that episode, because I think they were in the same episode. There was Kino's and there was Luthen's as well.
Yeah.
That Luthen monologue was where there's a line in there that was, I think it's like, I burn my decency for a sunrise I'll never see, or something like that.
Yeah.
And there are a few lines in there where I'm just like, I wish I'd written those. I wish that I was the person who'd written that, because it was just phenomenal. I can't remember it word for word, but when he's talking about like, you know, I will use the tactics of my enemy, or I'll stoop low enough to use the tactics of my enemy against them. And like, wow, you kind of see just for his character what that means. Like, how much that pains him that he has to do this, that he has to be the terrible person he is. For someone else's good. He
was just great in general. I loved his character.
Well, I love those two actors from their time in Chernobyl, when because it's in the show Chernobyl, it's the guy who plays the Russian or the Soviet general who's tasked to go with the doctor to go and check out the site, and then in Andor, the guy who's in the elevator who meets Luthen on the bridge is one of the scientists in that control room. And I was like, oh my God, it's them two together. And they're so good in that show. And they're exactly the same in this.
I've not seen Chernobyl.
It's really good.
No, I missed it as well.
Really good. Really good.
Yeah, I missed it as well. But it won quite a few awards, didn't it? Chernobyl.
Yeah. I think
the writing was just so good in this. Like, you compare like these kind of monologues to, like, say, Obi-Wan, and it's just like, you'll not be 10 years old forever. And it's like,
what accent was that, Paul?
That's meant to be by Ewan McGregor.
But yeah, I would say those were some of the best written lines and monologues that we've probably ever seen in Star Wars.
They're almost like theatre monologues. Like you could put that
really
on a stage
are.
and you wouldn't be surprised to hear it there.
Yeah, yeah.
I just loved how versatile his character was, Luthen, because see that scene where he's putting on the wig and he's just looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
Any scene between him or any scene with Mon Mothma in general, I thought she was fantastic as well. I thought their dynamic was really good.
I want to see how many disguises he has and how many characters he can pull off. We only got to see 1 or 2, but maybe he's got about 10 locked away in that little cupboard.
That guy's definitely got a wig box. Like he's not just got the one wig. But that was one of my favorite scenes, is when he's putting on the wig in the spaceship. I think it was episode 4 or something, before he lands on Coruscant.
Something like that.
And he does this, like, once he's put his kind of costume on, he strikes this little like pose, as if the kind of like airy Luthen laugh he does. And there was a moment where, like, I don't know if I'm imagining it wrong or if anyone else has noticed this, but he just holds this smile for a moment, and then his face just crumples, and you can like see it on his face. It's like he is tired of doing this. Like this is the 1000th time he's done this, and he just doesn't want to go back to it. And like I think that was the moment where I just thought, I'm so interested in this character now. I really want to see what happens over the rest of the series.
Yeah,
I really want to see how many wigs he's got.
Yeah. Did you like the scenes in the kind of shop that he had full of all the collectibles?
Yeah, that was fun. Seeing all the Easter eggs was really great. What did we have in there? We had Padme's headdress, didn't we?
I think so, somewhere in the background.
From one of the prequels. There was Mandalorian armor.
Yeah.
There was the mask. Yeah. There was a Plo Koon mask, I think. I don't know if that's confirmed if it is Plo Koon's mask, but
there was some Indiana Jones stuff in the back. There was is it the Sankara stones?
Was there?
The Temple of Doom? Yeah, they're on the shelf.
Do you think he just raided Plo Koon's burning cockpit to get that?
That's the deleted scene. You see the crash cockpit. You just see some guy skulking over, just trying to rip open the cockpit and get it out.
Yeah, in the backlot behind the shop, he's got the entire ship just crumpled up.
Yeah.
It's just the amount of great characters, because his assistant was quite important as well.
I'm interested to know more about that character. What was her name again? Do you remember, James?
Nope.
No,
I'm trying to Google it now.
But because I'm interested to see how integral she is, or how important she is to the rebellion. Is she a part of the rebellion, or is she just working with Luthen in her whatever capacity she is? I genuinely don't know, but she seems like she's dedicated to the cause as much as Luthen, if not more.
Yeah, because there's points where she argues back against him when he's like, I can't remember what it's over, but he wants to go and do something. Like he wants to keep in contact with Aldani, isn't it? Yeah, and she's like, no, don't do it. You have to stop doing that. And it's kind of interesting. You obviously get their dynamic in the shop where he's like her employer, but then when they're in the back room, they're sort of equals and able to argue with each other.
Yeah.
Kind of a shame we didn't get more of her, I think. But then there's so much in this one series alone that you can't have everything for every character.
No.
I think that was, I don't know about you, but see, when we got to the finale, I sometimes felt like it was hard trying to remember who every single person was, because they were all just there at the one time. Because there was one guy that died, and I think he was important earlier, because there was only really one of the kind of group that died.
Yeah, like the informant guy.
Oh,
they dragged him into the hotel. He informed on where Andor was.
The guy who revealed Andor's location.
But it was so long ago, and because of the week by week format, I've kind of forgotten who he was.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name at all. If I even knew it in the first place.
We're slacking, James. We're slacking. What are we doing? Come on.
What did you all make of Genevieve O'Reilly?
Utterly unbelievable. We were talking about this earlier, and we thought she just gave one of the greatest performances ever. And we thought it was just really great to see someone in her position. Like, we've seen so many politicians over the years in Star Wars. We've seen Padme, we've seen Leia, we've seen all of these brilliant people, but we haven't really seen a politician struggle in Star Wars. And what's so interesting about her story is not only is it on this big macro scale in terms of this big Senate political sort of struggle that she's facing, the interesting part is her family and her domestic life that deteriorates. And we're really looking forward to seeing how that plays out, and how eventually, we're at a stage now where she's having to make a choice between her daughter and the Rebel Alliance, effectively. And at some point, that's going to come to a head, and that's so fascinating to see.
It went a wee bit kind of House of the Dragon, didn't it? With her daughter and the guy's son
marrying off. And she's trying to throw her husband under the bus for the missing funds.
Yeah.
And too right as well. What a horrible man.
I really want her to throw him under a literal bus.
He's not a nice guy, but how cool is he though? I think he dresses really cool.
Yeah, he's got style, but he
can wear a
trash.
sick jacket. He can wear a sick jacket. I can give him that.
He's trash in a nice robe.
I like the scenes in their apartment. See when she was, remember the guy that she obviously had a thing with back in the day? She was trying to like set up the kind of charity with him, but she was just like walking around it, and they were just like moving. They would see people, they would move again. I thought that whole kind of dialogue scene was really well done.
That was really good because you did see Mon playing the game and leading that double life, which so many characters in Andor do, and which we've seen with Luthen wearing the disguise and going back and forth, and you know, Andor trying to decide whether he is going to be a rebel or just live his normal everyday life. And Mon Mothma really is flipping between two lives here in the facade that she gives off to everyone else and the person she really wants to be, and that she's trying to, you know, she's trying to escape this trapped sense that she's trapped and getting away from that. And yeah, it was really cool just seeing her operate in that different way.
Yeah, how you're talking about like Mon Mothma or like acting and stuff. Like when you first see her and Luthen, like they're all kind of happy smiles talking in the shop, and then they go in the back shop and she's worried to hell. And she's freaking out. Luthen's got a stern face on, and then when they're going back out, they both kind of just stand there and go, put a smile back on, and go back into the kind of limousine driver.
Yeah, the way they like talk in code in the shop, I found really fascinating. Where it's like it's clear kind of what they're talking about, but they're trying to just pretend like she is just shopping for a birthday present for her husband.
It was a good Easter egg when they were organising their dinner party in one of the earlier episodes. They mentioned, what was the name? Was it Slime Moore?
Yeah,
like one of Palpatine's like inner circle.
Yeah,
you know, it's white skin, bald, and wears like kind of fancy garments. It was like one of the people that would share his pod in the Senate.
Yeah.
He's got like the big blue guy and the bold pale lady.
So they were mentioned on the list. I think that the things I was most gripped by in this show were the scenes on Coruscant with Luthen and Mon Mothma, but I loved, and I'm sure you guys will share it too, all the Imperial meetings. Although they were talking about really quite dull things, I was like utterly gripped.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That was another thing that we both talked about earlier, and that the show does something really good, and that it gives you it makes you both understand and sympathize with a range of characters from different sides of the conflict. And it doesn't mean that you have to agree what people are doing in any way. Most of these characters are scumbags in most sense of the word, but the writing is so good that it makes you understand where everyone's coming from, and it makes you understand the journey everyone's going from. It's like, for example, Daedra Miro is in this world where she's forced to overcome the obstacles to get what she needs because she feels like she's being blocked by other people and the political infighting that goes on within the Empire. And seeing her struggle is fascinating, and seeing her wrangle with that world is fascinating, because there's almost like a sense of injustice in her world, despite her coming across as an antagonist, right?
Yeah, you kind of get like, I'm sort of rooting for her in a sense, because the people she's competing against within the Empire are gross and awful, and I hate them. But also, like, I don't want her to succeed because she's also part of the Empire. It's a weird one, and I can't like help sometimes when she's in a scene with what was his name? Is it Blevin, the other like her rival in the ISB? When they're like fighting over file access, I'm like, I want her to succeed in that scene, but also I don't want her to get any closer to Andor.
Yes,
you could relate to it because it was just something that would happen in an office.
Yeah.
Like, there's some files on like the systems that you can't get access to, and you need to go and ask for permission. And it was one you could really relate to.
There's something very bureaucratic and a lot of red tape about that, which you can imagine is very frustrating for most people in the imperial system.
She's definitely sent a lot of follow-up emails. She seems like that kind of person.
I was joking the other day, and I really enjoyed how Daedra kept coming across people just sleeping across the Imperial Security Bureau. Like there were so many administrators who were just sleeping on the job, and I was like, eventually she's going to just come across all the sleeping people and turn them into fantastic workaholics.
What do you make about the fledgling romance between her and Cyril?
Is it romance or is it just stalking?
Stalking,
intense, wasn't it?
Yeah, I didn't quite know where that scene was going to go in the finale when they're like together in the storeroom. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I was worried they were going to kiss because I didn't want them to, but it felt like they were going to, and I kind of. I know we're not talking about season 1 now, but I really want to see where they start season 2. Like, are those two characters going to be kind of? Because I think season 2 is meant to be like a year. It's meant to jump a year from the end of season 1 to start of season 2.
Yeah.
So I'm like, are these two characters going to be kind of together in a sense of like working together, or are they going to start separated again? And I don't really know what I don't really know what I want from that.
I think he'll be in the ISB. I think he'll be in the ISB, our kind of right hand man.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah.
But still, in that finale, when she got like saved by him and she had that like sharp thing up to his neck, I'd still be like, nah, you're getting it. Yeah.
Do you think that Daedra will use him as like a sort of black operative, if that makes sense, like somebody who goes on and does the black ops that nobody really should know about, but because he's not actually a member of the ISB, she can send him off and do things.
That's a good shout.
Yeah,
he definitely seems like someone that I reckon Daedra probably knows that she can use him. Like she knows if she asks him to jump off a building for her, he will do it. So I think she'll probably think like, I can make him do anything I need, any of my dirty work I need doing that my bosses can't see. He'll go and do it for me.
Well, there's definitely a sense of jeopardy going into season 2 with the informant within the ISB, and I think that's going to come. That's going to come to a point where either that informant is going to either run, or it's going to be uncovered, or about to be uncovered, and that's going to be probably a big plot point. And it's going to be a case of who is going to uncover that person. It could very much be Cyril.
Yeah,
depending on how he gets used, but we will see.
Because I can't imagine Cyril being a man of action, because out in the field he doesn't seem that capable. So I think he'd be more of a kind of just a spy, intel, just watching people rather than doing any dirty work. Hands on.
Did you like his speech that he delivered in episode 2 or 3 or whatever it was?
His terrible pep talk.
It was kind of like when Theon Greyjoy gave a speech to Gavin in Game of Thrones.
I just love when it pans. I love when it pans across the face of the men in front of him, and they're just looking around like, is he gonna carry on with this? Is he like serious?
I loved the scene, and I think it was like episode 2. Do you remember when like Cassian had committed his crime, and then the guy was trying to like cover it up? And he was really kind of on the ball. He was like, I don't want the Empire to think there's anything going wrong here.
Yeah.
They all got pulled up in the office, and they were like, I wasn't even here. I was on holiday. He's like, that's basically the point we're making. Do you know what I mean?
I just loved how much like Cyril was committed to his job, even though it was when he gave that speech on the ship. He was like, you could tell he genuinely believed that he was like bringing order to the Empire. He was doing kind of honorable work. And he wasn't. He was just chasing after a guy who got into an alley fight. But he was like, no, if we catch him, we're bringing order to the Empire. We're protecting the Emperor's law. And it's like, it's fascinating for me that he's in this position where he's got like basically no power. Like he's in such a kind of backwater part of the galaxy. But he believes that, you know, he's the last frontier of peace and justice.
He was right, though.
Yeah.
Andor obviously was really important.
Yeah.
In the scope of things. There's 2 big like actor cameos that I noticed in this show, and because you're from the same Isles as us, you'll get them. So Cyril's mum was played by the person that plays Mrs. Fig in Harry Potter. I don't know how.
I thought I recognised her from somewhere.
I didn't clock that.
I clocked it as like within like a few minutes of our talking. The other one was Blevin. He was the guy in the In-Betweeners who was the drug dealer in the gig.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, where Jay goes up and tries to get them,
and he's like, are you just asking me for drugs because of what I look like?
Yeah.
he's like, no. But he's like, are you a drug dealer? He's like, yes, but that's not the point.
Oh my gosh.
No, but I've got this thing, and Paul will attest to this. If I see somebody I half recognize, I'll spend the next 15 minutes Googling them. And
I do the same.
Yeah.
I keep the IMDb app on my phone purely for that.
So yeah, those are my two pickouts in terms of actor cameos.
Who's Mrs. Fig?
A wee old lady. She's a wee old lady. She's from a magic family, but doesn't have magic, and she's basically lives near Harry, and she's to kind of keep an eye on him for Dumbledore. She's in
season 2. Is Cyril going to go back and smother her with a pillow?
I thought we were going to get that in season 1. I think it's like after a first or second episode, I was just like, he's killing her by the end of the season.
Yeah,
I thought we were going to get some kind of Norman Bates style thing where like he was just going to break down, but there's still time. There's still time.
Just you wait till he runs out of his Cocoa Pox cereal, and then all hell will break loose, mate.
You know, it's really interesting. We've been talking for like about half an hour on Andor, but now we haven't actually mentioned Cassian much.
No.
We did the same thing earlier.
Yeah, I think when we did our review this morning, we got to like near the end and we thought we haven't actually mentioned Cassian.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. I think for me it was like, even though the show was called Andor and he was obviously the main character, it was more like he felt like a kind of linchpin, like holding all of these other characters together. And I don't know, it's in a sense like this is a completely different show, but like Gavin and Stacey, for example, where Gavin and Stacey are the main characters, but you kind of watch it for people like Nessa and Smithy and
Uncle
their
Bryn.
parents. Yeah, and Uncle Bryn. And it's like, you can't have the show without those two characters, and they are the heart of it. Yeah. But they're your kind of window into this wider cast. I feel a little bit like that with Andor. Like, maybe it's just because I wasn't that interested in Andor as a character beforehand, but he seemed like a kind of window into this cast of other characters.
Also, his mum surname was Andor. I don't know if that was revealed before the finale, but
yeah,
should it also be a wee bit about her? Because she was obviously quite integral.
Yeah,
that's a good point. It could.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
It could be a show. It could be her show, to be honest.
Where did you hear that, Colin? Because you didn't come up with that.
I would normally admit, but on this occasion, it's because they mentioned her name in the episode, and I was like, I didn't actually realize that was her surname, and that's where he got it from.
Yeah,
because he's called Casa, sort of Cassian when he was younger. So I thought maybe Andor was his family name, not hers.
Yeah.
So that was an original. That was an original. And also, we need to do a Gavin and Stacey episode because I love it.
I'd be up for that.
That's good. Cool. I guess picking up on Andor, I mean, Diego Luna himself as the actor, an incredible performance across the entire season. It was just amazing. And he just comes across with this grit and earthiness that I think the character deserves and needs, being this person who lives constantly on, flipping from both sides, but someone who lives in the shadows. And he just, I don't know, there's some weight to his performance. And in that first episode where he stared down the guards and shot them, and it was just that long period of time of silence where you just watched Cassian Andor's face just realize what he had to do in that moment and go through with it, is not something you see most characters do. But with Cassian, you do, you suddenly realize like, whoa, this is a character that will do the things that most characters won't do in Star Wars. So I loved his performance throughout the entire season. And once again, and I sort of agree what James said, I wouldn't say he's probably the most interesting character of the lot, because I think that's something that most Star Wars shows are suffering with at the moment, is that we are having shows like Kenobi where we know what eventually happens to these characters. We know where they go and we know where they start from. So there's only so much action and there's only so much dramatic tension that can be built from that and the stories that you can tell in the middle. But with Cassian Andor, like James said, it's the linchpin around all these other unknown characters, which suddenly form the basis of a really interesting show, where suddenly we're really interested in Dedra Meero and Cyril and all of these people. So I think Andor is, while Andor's great, suddenly I found myself not watching the show for Andor, which is very strange.
Because I feel like seeing like the third episode of each arc, like the big finale ones, I felt a feeling of like intense anxiety about these characters.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what's going to happen to them.
Yeah, because it's like Adam said, you know that Cassian's going to survive, so you kind of can't put like jeopardy on his character. Well, you can, but it's not as effective. So they put it like on Bix and Brasso and B2, the kid with the pipe bomb whose name I can't remember, and it's like, yeah, you don't know what happens to any of those characters. They could have all died by the end of the series. And I remember watching the fight on Rick's Road in the finale, and I was just like, I'm terrified for these characters because I don't know what happens to them. Anything can happen to them.
How much did you like the droid?
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry?
yes.
The B2.
I was so mad when that guy pushed B2 over. I was like, you shove B2, you shove all of us.
That's an unwritten rule of Star Wars. You do not touch the droid. You don't harm the droid.
Yeah, you harm the droid, we will come after you.
It's like the equivalent of in any film or show, if you hurt the dog or you hurt the cat, it's just like we all feel it. So it's, And
I just love the way like all of Ferrix
were all John Wick in that moment.
Yeah. I just love the way that like all of Ferrix erupted as soon as the guy pushed B2 over. Like that was their last straw. And it reminded me of in the first Spider-Man film when I think like Spider-Man's catching the cable car off the bridge and the Green Goblin's flying at him, and then people just start lobbing stuff at the Green Goblin from the bridge, and they're like, "You mess with him, you mess with all of us."
I was hoping you were going to do a thick New York accent there.
I'm not even going to try that.
Do it.
I think this discussion showed how many good characters they've created, because like both of mine and Paul's names, like just the guy hammering down and Mosk, that guy was awesome.
I wish I was as enthusiastic about my job as that Bell Tower guy was. Like his whole kind of dance and routine.
It was brilliant.
I love it.
He was like the main character of that episode.
Yeah.
He was driving for us.
Oh, see when the stormtrooper went up and he pushed him off. I love that. Man.
That was great.
I think he was the one I was most anxious for, weirdly, when I knew that stormtroopers are going up there. I was like, he's not going to make it through. They're going to kill him.
I thought they were going to snipe them. One thing I noticed was there wasn't as many casualties as I thought there'd be in the finale. I think a few more of the core team maybe would have bit the dust.
I thought at least Bix or Brasso, like one of Cassian's main two friends, I thought one of them isn't going to make it out there. I was surprised that both of them did. I'm glad that both of them did.
But I suppose is it Martha or is it
Martha?
I suppose she left. How good was her scene with the big projection?
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. That you know what, there was something about me and James were talking about whether she was actually dead going into that final episode, because we couldn't quite tell whether she was going to be. I mean, arguably we still don't know because there's a season 2. Maybe there's going to be a big reveal, but for all we know, she is dead. And I think
she's Snoke.
Maybe she is Snoke. Oh my god!
You've never seen them in the same room together. I'm just putting it out there.
Maybe she's disguised as a stormtrooper and walking out of that place right now. We don't know. But anyway, the fact that we didn't see her die in the first place, I think was just great, because then when she came back as that hologram projected just over the crowd as a big giant and delivering that speech that she did, she came back larger than life and larger than what we could have ever thought we'd have had before. And it was just, what a send off. And just in the things that she said, which was something that also encapsulates what Andor is all about. It's all about community, and it's all about what people can do as a community if they pull themselves together and they have each other. Because one of Marva's lines, which I love, is, we were sleeping, but we had each other. And it was that eventually pulls them all together to do that one act, which breaks the siege, which then takes the Empire on. And it was just brilliant.
When she started saying like "fight the Empire," like, I think the whole episode you're just waiting on the moment, and that's when I kind of just sat up in my couch and I was like, right,
I did the same. I literally leaned forward as she was saying that. I didn't notice I was doing it until I was right in front of the TV.
Did you? Because I said this to James earlier, and I thought that whole thing on Ferrix, with the dispute, with the setting and the environment and the characters and the aesthetic, it reminded me quite a lot of the sort of mining strikes and the mining disputes in the north of England in like the 70s and the 80s and things like that. Especially what did it for me was the brass band that walked through the streets.
Yeah.
Because all the mining communities back in those days had a big brass band as their focal point of their community. So as soon as I saw that, I thought that's done it for me. That's what it's reminding me of.
Because did they not say earlier in the episode they were only allowed like 40 people, but then it was I assume that's why they were panicking, because the heroes were panicking because obviously they were coming from all angles.
Yeah,
I love that. There's kind of like minor disobedience. Like the Empire said they wanted to do it at midday with 40 people. We've said do it 2 hours later with this many people, and then they just turned up when they wanted with as many people as they wanted. And like as soon as that starts that something's going to go down because they've already broken enough rules to get to that point. But it's just like the panic on the Empire's faces as they're just like, we can't let them break this rule. Like if we let them go this far, then they'll go like this far again next time they want something, and they'll go further again next time. It was the tension in that. I just loved it so much.
But how great is it that a marching band is now canon in Star Wars? That's great.
That whole sequence just gave me chills. You know, like that shot when it's like raising up, and you can see down both streets, and everyone's just converging. Like the scale of it and like all the extras, it just made it just feel so much bigger than it is.
Does this show not make you think how good Boba Fett would have been with this?
I think the writing team on this show did an incredible job. I think there's without a shadow of a doubt, we cannot praise them enough. I think without a shadow of a doubt, one of my favorite examples of writing on any TV show in Star Wars.
With exceptions, I looked at on Wikipedia, and I think the first arc was written and directed by the same people, and then the second was written and directed by the same people but different people. So there was like different people each arc, which was quite interesting, I thought.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because there's Tony Gilroy, who's well known, but then his brother, I think, wrote some of the episodes.
Oh, Dan Gilroy.
Yeah.
Because I think Hans was telling us last week from the Action Movie Book Club, he was saying that,
2 weeks ago,
Tony Gilroy, he doesn't really deal a lot in Star Wars. So he was just writing a story. It would be a good story, and then kind of just brought Star Wars into it rather than having Star Wars and then writing to pander to Star Wars.
I mean, it worked.
I think it really helped.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've got one query about the show. He gave up on his sister really easily, or was there a reason why he gave up on her so easily?
Season 2. That's why.
It was kind of just abandoned. I thought.
I'm kind of in two minds about this because, like, it felt like they made a big deal about her early on for her to then not appear later, especially when we see her in the flashbacks on what's the planet they're from?
Oh, I've got this.
Oh,
Canary.
Yes.
There we go. Yes. Yeah, they made a big deal about her in this early arc, and then she was just never mentioned again. And I don't know whether she's gonna be a thing in season 2 because they've made a big deal of her, but also they haven't mentioned her since like episode 3. So it feels like they've left enough time that they could just not pick that thread up again.
I thought
it'd be a bit of a shame if they didn't. But
do you not think there'll be more flashbacks across the show?
Quite possibly, yeah.
Possibly.
Do you think his sister? Do you think his sister is actually out there? Do you think she is still alive somewhere, or do you think it's like a false hope that he's got?
I don't know. I think the Imperials are going to capture her because they know they find out somehow that she's related to Andor, and then Andor will need to try and rescue her or something daft like that.
Yeah,
that could work because isn't it like odd that they are both from Canary? Like, isn't it odd that anyone survived that planet generally?
Yeah.
I
can imagine if they hear like anybody else say they're from that planet, the Empire be like, "Oh, we know someone from Canary."
Yeah. And I'm quite interested to figure out what happened in Canary too, because like you obviously see the kids wearing the old mining gear and stuff. Because I was like, why is that wearing like high vis?
Like high vis Lord of the Flies.
This show gave me real Hunger Games vibes. I think it's just the Nakina 5. See, like I don't know how much you've seen or read of the Hunger Games, but I don't know, a lot of aspects of it, the kind of uprising, and I don't know, there was quite a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, and like Ferrix kind of reminded me a lot of District 12. Is it District 12 that Katniss is from? The kind of coal mining district. Yeah.
Oh, that's a podcast we could do. Hunger Games.
We should just join Science Cinema at this rate.
Yeah.
There's two places I really want to mention. and I'm just showing off that I've written the names down. Niamos, which
Yeah.
is the beach planet, which
Party
looked like
town.
so much fun. Did
Yeah.
you fall for the fake out? Did you think it was K2SO, or did you realize it?
I didn't think it was going to be K2SO, and I don't know why. I think I heard the voice, but yeah, when I saw him coming up, I was like, the scene feels like a bit too soon to be introduced.
Yeah.
I was like, that it can't be this. And I know there is they have set up. Have they, James? Am I right in thinking they've set up Cassian and K2's meeting before?
There is a story. Yeah, there's a comic about how they met.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised at this point if they redo the story in season 2, because
Right.
it was literally just like it might have just been a one comic issue or a mini series.
Right.
I don't think many people really know about. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just either like just adapted it into season 2 or just kind of redid it.
But how great was that episode? That planet, for a number of reasons. One, because it was first of all shot in, I think, like a coastal town in like the north, like east of England or something.
Really?
Like really not, like nonchalant place. But it's really cool that was used as a location wherever it was. The soundtrack to it was really cool because it had this sort of like kind of house like dance kind of vibe to it. It's a very party town-esque kind of thing. There was a really funny character with a long nose that we saw, which me and James are thinking of doing an episode at some point on. But and then lastly, that whole interaction with the stormtrooper on the beach, like that was so chilling, mainly because of like it just felt so real in terms of like how, you know, how maybe a interaction, like it felt like a stop and search that you might get in everyday life in like London or something like that. And I suppose for some people that might be quite a chilling experience to watch that happening on screen. But just seeing Andor sort of stop and trapped in that moment, having done nothing wrong, but just identified as someone just because of how he looks, as someone who might be up to something, was crazy. So that was quite crazy. But secondly, seeing all the different do you remember straight away afterwards all of the like Wikipedia and Star Wars started like doing the like I'm a tourist like started doing all of that everywhere, and it started spilling over to all fan accounts, and there was like loads of interactions going on. It was really fun.
You're sweating.
I'll give you your north of England, and I'll raise you that the Aldani bit was filmed near us, wasn't it, Paul?
Oh yes, it was. It's just
Dam.
south of Glencoe, wasn't it?
Yeah, so you can actually go, and I plan to maybe next year at some point go a wee drive up and see it.
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
So you've got Aldani up in Scotland.
What's that?
So you've got Aldani up in Scotland. Adam, you've got like some of, is it Rogue One? Part of it's filmed at Canary Wharf Station.
I've got Canary Wharf.
Yeah. I haven't got anything in Bristol.
Oh.
I need a Star Wars location down in Bristol. All I've got is that David Prowse was from Bristol, which is still pretty cool, but I don't have a location in Bristol.
Right.
So if you're listening, Star Wars, come to Bristol. We've got a nice suspension bridge.
That's so a wee connection with a cameraman from A New Hope.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Paul?
Sorry. Yeah, that wasn't really
so there was the beach, but we have to mention the eye. That was absolutely gorgeous.
Yes. We put up a tweet, didn't we, saying like, is this the most like visually stunning sequence in Star Wars? It was just gorgeous, just the colors, but even the lead up to that moment, like the tension throughout that episode, just building and building and building to that boiling point, then getting to that eye sequence was just it was gorgeous.
I think like all of these kind of big action things, they're just the tension, like you said, is so good because they're there's a lot of talk in writing when you build tension about it being like a kind of rubber band, like you're just constantly pulling it until it feels like it's about to snap. Yeah. And I feel like they're just so good at getting the right point for that. Like they'll just build it throughout this episode with so many things that could go wrong. And throughout the arc as well. And then like it just gets to that point where it just everything kind of unleashes and they're in the ship and they're blasting off and oh man, that whole sequence was just too good. It's too good, frankly.
When they're talking about it, like obviously it's been bigged up quite a wee bit when the Imperials are all talking about it and all these pilgrimages are coming to watch it. I was thinking, how's this going to go down? It might just be like a few flashes in the sky, but totally exceeded my expectations when it came to
True.
visuals.
Almost forgot something. Luthen's brush with the Empire when he unleashed all the weapons on his ship. Remember that was the end of like the remember when they were basically trying to take all these details, and then the ship he was driving turned out to have loads of secret weapons, and he
okay,
that was
so
his spinny sideways thing.
Yeah, James has a question about that, which he asked me earlier. And do you want to ask it again? Do you remember what it is?
Yeah. Do you think there's a chance that Luthen might be like ex-Imperial military or something? Because I think he knows a lot about how they operate, like their procedures and stuff. And the way he knew that, like when he started gunning up the engine, that they would turn the tractor beam up to it, and like he could use that against them. I'm starting to think that he knows a bit too much than you could get by just like observing them as an enemy. I'm wondering if he was either like part of the Imperial military or like the Separatists or something during the Clone Wars or the Republic Navy or something.
I can see that.
That's quite a good point, actually. Yeah, because he knows a hell of a lot.
Yeah, he's either very clever or he's got like some inside information somewhere.
Yeah.
And he takes credit for absolutely nothing that goes on.
Yeah,
like he's just everyone's in the dark for everything. Like see when Saw was asking him about if it was him and Aldani, he's just like, I wish it was.
Yeah.
He's just such a fascinating character, and to have him on board is just so good. Like him as an actor.
Yeah. And his like his caginess the whole way through, like you just said with Saw, when Saw asked him if he was on Aldani, and he's like, nope, wasn't me. He's just like, he won't give any information away. When he talks about like he'll give up Anto Krieger, that rebel guy that the ISB were hunting, but he told Saw Gerrera, I won't give you up because you know too much about me. And he starts hunting Cassian at the end because Cassian knows who he is. And he's like, I'll fight against the Empire with all of you, but if there's any chance that you'll turn me in, I will turn on you as well.
I feel like I've spent this whole podcast thinking of characters you guys could do videos on. Two Tubes. Two Tubes. Saw Gerrera's right.
Yes.
Oh,
yes. 2 tubes.
Yes.
I want to know what the tubes are for. Do they do different things?
Why did Luthen have to call them out? That was uncalled for. That was not a great moment.
Right, what I thought would be quite fun was, we mentioned it just during our pre-call, was do a rapid fire ranking of the arcs, if you're up for it.
Yeah.
So first one is episodes 1 to 3, which is also on Ferrex.
Yeah.
The second one is the Aldani one with the eye.
Yeah.
Third one is the prison. And then there's like a kind of standalone episode, but the last two was like the kind of funeral and the lead up to that. So fourth place, Paul, do you want to start off?
Fourth place for me, to be honest, I loved all the arcs, so it's really hard to put them in a ranking because I'm not saying I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad. It's like fourth because it's bad. It's just I like certain bits more than the others. So I'll probably just say the first story arc in Ferrex, just because it was a wee bit slower, but the build up was like really good. Like I really enjoyed getting to know the characters, but I quite like my action. So just because there's a wee tiny bit of lack of it, it probably put it bottom of my ranking, but it was still fantastic. So it's not as if it's a bad mark on it. It's just where it sits.
Sure.
What were you guys?
Yeah, I'd probably agree. I think it's hard because like I love that as well, and I remember watching it just being like in awe. I think by the end of episode 3, I was in tears watching it because I was just like, this is so incredible.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, it's a bit of a slow burn because it's building those foundations. I think everything after that, like Aldani in the prison and Rick's Road, it's hard to kind of judge it in a way because they're benefiting from all of that foundation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd probably, if I had to rank them, if you're putting a gun to my head and saying rank them, I'll probably put that in fourth. Oh no.
We like rankings here at Seismic Cinema.
Oh,
we shy away from it. We sit on the fence for everything.
We do. We are most
so
impartial.
I'm going the first 3 episodes last as well because, as you said, they get better as they go. So it's always going to be hard to catch up.
Go on, Adam. Say something controversial.
Okay, I'm going for Narkina 5 Prison, number 4. Mainly because, and I love all of them. I love all the arcs, but I really liked the first 3 episodes, mainly because of the, as you said, laying the groundwork with all of these characters. That whole sequence through, like, the first 10 minutes of Andor, I found was just so riveting. And then that whole exploration of Cyril as a character and him eventually, like, that whole 3 episodes is quite focused heavily on Cyril, and he isn't quite featured really in a lot of the next few episodes up until maybe the Narkina 5 arc. But everything going on with Cyril is fascinating to me, and seeing what's going on in his head and leading up to that point, seeing how he is a disappointment in his regiment trying to deliver that speech, and seeing how he eventually becomes obsessed with Andor to the point where he eventually fails in doing so, I found so cool. So I'm not going to put that last, controversially. And I don't want to put, it's so hard, I don't want to put the Eye of Aldani last either, because I like that sequence so much. But then the final sequence was so good that I guess maybe I have to put the Narkina 5 prison if you had to put a gun to my head.
Right, the gun was to your head, so there you go. You've ruined the internet. Paul, number 3.
I would probably put the prison arc, but like I was saying, I did love it. See, when I seen Melshi on the screen, I was just like, Melshi! But it was really cool just seeing all these because there's loads of characters you just like notice from other things in British TV. And I was kind of like, I'm sure I've seen him in like Dream Team or something, or Auf Wiedersehen Pet. So at points it did feel like it was a wee bit samey, like they kept going back to the building. Was it a part of the Death Star? Did it end up? Is that
Did you see the end credits scene for this finale?
Yeah, they were building like screws that kind of put together panels on the actual eye of the weapon.
Yeah,
right.
They looked like when you're laying tiles and you've got those little plastic spaces between the tiles. It looked like they were making those, but for a super laser.
Well, guess who didn't stay and watch the end credits scene?
Yeah, what I do, seeing Disney Plus, I just kind of moved the time forward a wee bit.
Yeah.
And I did it, and then I saw that there was something after the credits.
I do that with the Marvel shows.
Well,
yeah,
we won't mention it any further. You can check it out.
Question: has there been end credits at the end of every other episode? No,
not to my knowledge.
No, I think so.
No.
Because it took me until Avengers: Age of Ultron to realize there's end credit scenes at the end of that as well.
Just in time for not Thanos, never mind. Number 3 for me, and again, as you said, they're all good. I'd say the last 2 episodes because there wasn't enough bloodshed.
Oh, interesting.
But there was a guy hitting a stormtrooper with a brick.
I just thought that there would be a wee bit more stakes in the sense. I thought,
there's
only 2 seasons of this. There's quite a lot of characters. I just thought that they rescued Bix quite easily as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sure. It wasn't bad. It was good, but it wasn't my favorite arc.
Okay, that makes sense. I think if you had to put a gun to my head for number 3, which there is, a blaster to my head, I guess then. See, the thing with the Eye of Aldani arc was that I feel like I enjoyed it, but I feel like I enjoyed the last episode so much that it sort of, I feel like it's tainting my view of the arc overall. While the arc's brilliant, some people might consider it a bit of a slow burn to get to the stage where you get to the eye and the escape. But there is a lot of great work in the camp where Cassian's talking to the guy who takes his kyber crystal and outs him, right? And there's some really interesting work with Nemec, and we haven't even talked about Nemec as a character, right? Who was great and great as a character as well. So it's really hard, and I think like I would sort of agree with you about the last one in terms of like maybe not in terms of like I'm not sure if I agree with the bloodshed thing, but I think that
was a joke, baby. I'm not bloodthirsty.
No,
I'm sure. To thin the herd. He's like, we've got 2 seasons, get half the cast out.
That's my definitive ranking is based on kill count. No, but I feel like I enjoyed the character work so much that maybe that's the kind of the big all action sequence at the end's not for me. So I don't know. I think it's either between the last arc or the Eye of Aldani arc. But I think purely for the Eye of Aldani sequence, I'm going to put that ahead. So I'm going to say the last arc as third.
You'd be a nightmare at an election day.
Yeah. Which is why we don't do rankings, because we'll just vamp for time until we finally land on an answer.
Right,
Yeah.
Paul, second.
Did you get James?
Did we not
I
already
don't
do?
think we did.
No, James, what's your
No.
third?
I think I'll put the prison third as well. I don't know what it was. There was just something. I think like you seem to kind of go into the prison. I think like very kind of hard and fast. Like the arc started on quite a tense note, and I don't think it like went very much further than that.
Yeah.
Whereas like the Aldani one, it started quite like kind of low stakes and then really ramped up. Whereas, yeah, I don't know what it was about the prison one, but there was maybe it just kind of went the way I was expecting sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have much more of an answer. I'll vamp for time on the next two.
Hey, Paul, what's your numero 2?
Probably, I would say Aldani. I think going into this, I really enjoyed it. I liked getting to know all the kind of crew that had been gathered. I like Nemec, his just kind of blind devotion to the rebellion, and like meeting, what was his name? Was it like Scad or Skag or something?
Skeen.
Skeen. And then finding out that he was just in it for the money kind of thing. But I thought the actual heist itself was so good. Like, there's so much action in it, and I think it was really well acted. You know, like when they're shouting at all the technicians to like get the credits, and you can just tell that it's just fast and loose. And I was quite surprised that a few of the characters got killed off in that. Like I thought Nemec might have made it a bit further, and Lieutenant Gorn, I thought he played a bigger role as well. But I suppose he served his purpose getting them into that position. But I thought there was quite a few surprises in there, plus the kind of big finale. It was like you were saying, Adam, about the slow burn at the start. It was kind of like, it is a wee bit slow. It just feels like they're just kicking about in the hills, not doing much. But there's more stuff happening on Coruscant, I think.
Yeah. That's
so true. I'd put that in second place for me.
Maybe they did that on purpose. Had the first 2 episodes low key, so they could do more with Coruscant and build back.
Yeah. I don't think there was as much Coruscant during the prison arc. I think like that was a lot more focused on Andor.
Yeah.
Because you'd probably got a lot of that work out of the way in the first kind of 5 or 6 episodes.
Yeah.
I'm going Aldani second too, and it's amazing. It shows how much we had to talk about that we didn't talk about any of that crew at all when they're all got really big parts. And the eye just sealed it for me. But just see the bit when they're actually stealing the money from the Empire, and see when the money actually crushed Nemec, which was very kind of symbolic of the little guy getting crushed. I think I probably stole that from someone, Paul.
No doubt. No doubt.
Aldani second for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'd put it second as well. I've just realised that Paul and I have done the exact same ranking so far, so I feel like I should go different. But
me and Paul did that for the Tales of the Jedi. We had the exact same the whole way through.
That's because I didn't have a rank and I just plagiarized it.
Yeah, that's why I go after Paul every time. Yeah, I think I'd put that on second. I think because I loved the character work that you got like in the camp before the heist started. I just seeing kind of like everyone's paranoia and suspicion of Andor, like the fact they've got to work together with him, but they're always like, we can't trust him. Who is this guy? Like, why is he here? And then just the heist itself was so tense and so gripping, and I loved how terribly planned it was. Like, although they planned it really well, but then like when it started going off, you're like, there's not a hope in hell's chance of this actually going off without a hitch, because like it hinges on so many kind of like coincidences and lucky timing, and the fact they actually pull it off is just like a miracle that they actually manage it. So I'd put that on second. I think.
Yeah, I think is that a clean slate for the Aldani arc as second place then? Because I'm going to put it as second place as well.
I think it is. Yeah.
The eye though,
just unbelievable. So
I
good.
might just watch that last 10 minutes.
Yeah. I will say that the eye was brilliant, but I think what sealed it, what the cherry on the cake for that episode was Andor shooting Skeen at the end. I did not expect that one bit, and I love a plot twist.
The way he does it, like just mid-sentence, like he doesn't even give Skeen a chance to kind of pull a blast or anything.
It's cold. It's cold.
Yeah.
Did they not read some of Nemec's thing that he wrote in the finale?
They did,
As
yeah.
manifest.
Reading it, and it was like a voiceover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remembered something actually with the Eye of Aldani. I don't know if either of you picked this up, but when like after Nemec had been crushed by the money, and he was telling, do you remember he's telling Andor like where to fly or what coordinates to fly to?
Yeah.
And then he started saying climb, and it said it a couple of times. That's the last thing K2 says to Cassian in Rogue One.
Yeah.
As K2 dies, he tells Cassian to climb, and like they say it in exactly the same intonation.
Yeah.
Which is just a weird kind of catch to put. I don't know why they put that in the show, but I kind of like that there's the symmetry there.
Well, they did that again with Kino Loy in the prison.
Oh yeah.
He says climb when everyone has to climb up the escalator or the elevator, whatever.
That's what I really love about doing reviews like this, because you'll say something that remind me of something. Did you catch the Canto Bite reference?
Yes.
I love a Canto Bite reference.
Love a Canto Bite reference.
As if it's the one casino in the galaxy. Like there must be others.
It's just like our world equivalent of Vegas. Like it's the first thing you think of when you think of them. So number one, I'll just say prison for me. I don't know. There was just something so chilling and just horrific about it. And when they started like killing off full corridors and the people were communicating across just with their hands and the I forgot his name again. Andy Serkis's speech was just because the first time he did it, it was rubbish.
Yeah.
And Cassie was like, "Can you not do better than that?" And then he just delivered it. So I don't know. I think that was like the most emotional. That is like the one scene that I'll probably remember most from the show moving forward.
Yeah, sure.
So that was my.
Yeah, my favorite is the first arc, and I think because I went and rewatched the first half of the series with my dad about a week ago, because he hadn't seen any of it, and I realized how much I really enjoyed that first arc, and just the work that you see with Cyril and the paranoia and the not hardly any confidence he has, and the amount of time you spend in his psyche just slowly burning and boiling away, I find just great. And then leading up all the way to the point of that big ambush on Ferrix with Luthen and shooting all those chain block things down from the ceiling. All of that was just brilliant. And then seeing Brasso tie a ship, a TIE fighter up with a piece of rope, and seeing that go blowing up into a building. How sick was that?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because like when we were talking about that third episode and that arc was just like, I know I was saying there wasn't much action in it, but like that final episode was actually like really kick ass. Like I really like the kind of tactical approach they took to it, like all the different teams and stuff, and how they're all converging on each other. And quite liked how they had the signal tracker. They can track the comms from a direction, which I thought was pretty cool. Like, because you never really see it like that.
Yeah.
We haven't mentioned the Scottish snitch. Tim, was it?
Tim?
Bix's boyfriend.
Oh yeah, Tim.
Oh yeah, Tim.
Yeah.
To be fair, there's quite a lot of Scottish guys in this.
Yeah.
It was the one that gets stabbed at the end in the finale. He was Scottish as well, wasn't he? The ICD officer.
Yeah.
We're just a bad bunch.
Stabbed by Cinta, wasn't it? Cinta stabbed that guy. Yeah.
I mean, she's not into other person.
No.
I think Dedra's more into Cyril than she is to
Val.
Yeah, Val.
Yeah.
She's just like so wrapped up in the cause that whatever they had beforehand, I think, has just drifted away for her.
Yeah.
Which is so sad to watch.
That is sad.
Did they have a backstory for Cintra?
I don't think there is one yet.
Don't think so.
No.
Unless they discussed it. Unless there's anything that's been like revealed on Aldani and I've forgotten about it.
You're not from Aldani?
Oh, is she not?
Oh,
I don't know.
Maybe, or did I make that up? I don't know.
I can't really remember a lot from those episodes, to be honest.
I
I
thought there's some
like
sort of
the-
movie
It's so
about
long ago now.
I like
family
the-
getting killed or something.
Yeah.
I like the tribal nature of the Aldani episodes. See when they're all chanting and stuff.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And then just seeing how much the eye meant to those people when I think they like shed a tear right as it happens.
It's
But also
kinda-
they shed the tear just as they're escaping as well. So it's like slightly symbolic, I suppose. But yeah, it's
basically the Star Wars version of like the Aurora Borealis. If I said that
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
yeah.
At this time of year, at this time of the Paul, you know the Simpsons right?
Oh God, but no,
Steamed hams.
my brain.
Localized entirely within your kitchen.
You got it.
Oh
Seymour
yeah,
Skinner.
right, yeah. Skinner, and
Aurora Borealis at this time of year, this part of the country. Good.
Oh.
I think that's a good way to end the episode.
Yeah. Have we,
Yeah.
James? Did you say your favorite? Did you say your
I
favorite?
can't remember now. Maybe.
I can't remember.
It would be the last two episodes with the
Yeah.
just ending in the Rick's Road, I think.
Yeah.
Partly because like I was so emotionally just like wrapped up in that, like I said, kind of just leaning forward towards the TV as it was going. But
Yeah.
also because Brasso clubbed a guy with a brick, and that was so satisfying.
That was satisfying.
Brasso killed the guy.
yeah, Brasso basically murdered a guy with a brick made of marva.
Yeah, it was this whole like kind of combo sequence. He like body kicked one guy and then turned around and hit another guy over the head with a brick. I was like, this is amazing. I didn't know I wanted this in Star Wars, but I do now.
Then he went and headbutted. Then he went and headbutted two stormtroopers as well. Guy can fight.
But
Yes.
as someone that's kind of led a lot of ranking podcasts, I did a really bad job there at making sure everyone had their shot.
I never even got to do mine.
Where's yours at?
The finale.
Nice.
But it's probably just because I only watched it for the first time like an hour ago and it's just fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
But
You didn't study all the Wikipedia summaries that I did.
no. I
just the Wikipedia page for the brick.
I just kind of love like the whole Imperial mobilization and like the riot and just see Ferrex itself. I just find it like a really because it's a practical set. I just find something very endearing about it.
Yeah,
and the dog just woken up. It's great.
That was something refreshing, wasn't it? This season that, or at least this TV show, that we didn't use the volume sci-fi sort of projection stage that they did with The Mandalorian a lot. They use practical sets and they use on-set locations quite a lot, mainly because they could, because we're out of COVID, mainly the production teams and people like that. But just going to the places like in Scotland and going to all these lovely places, it was just really cool to see.
Yeah. Was it not a Formula One place? It was the
McLaren MTC.
Yeah. I thought all the sets, even like see just Coruscant, one Mothma sets, I thought it just looked on point. Everything just looked great.
Did you just say Earth there? Like Earth was a set?
What?
I thought you said Earth.
I could possibly.
Like when you were trying to remember the name of the planet, you just said Earth.
I
mean, technically, yeah.
Place. What was I going to say? No, I just thought. Seeing Ferrex, I feel like I seen the same staircase about 20 times. I don't know. I just kept seeing people run down the same set of stairs all the time. They kept as if they kept shooting from different angles. I'm like, I've seen this before.
Do you know you have a slight resemblance to with the hair?
You're going to say parent.
That could be your Halloween gig next year.
And guess what? I'm a gambling scumbag too.
Yes, pretty much. Right, I think with the dogs waking up, that's probably a good time to draw to a close. But it's been a real pleasure. I really enjoyed the discussion on the show and having you on.
Yeah, really enjoyed being part of it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. It's been great.
You guys, we forgot to do it at the start, which was on my schedule, but we forgot about it. I think that was Paul's department. Do you guys want to plug your show and let people know what you are up to? I guess we've kind of done it through conversation, but no.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are the Moisture Farm Report. You can listen to our show pretty much everywhere. It's on like Spotify, Apple, Anchor, most places. If you can find a podcast, we're probably on it. We're on Twitter and Instagram at Moisture Farm Rep. We're on Hive as well now. If that's where people are migrating to. I haven't seen anything on the account up. It's just there.
Yeah.
Anything else that we should plug?
Any
more pluggables?
I'm trying to think. We have a buy me a coffee, but that's fine. I suppose we have an email, moisturefarmpod@gmail.com, if anyone wants to get in touch with us about any suggestions of episodes that we can talk about in the future. But yeah, we're quite active on Twitter mostly, so just interact with us and we'll probably get back to you and talk about all things Star Wars and have a bit of banter. So yeah.
We have a TikTok account, but we haven't logged into it for a while.
We haven't yet figured out how to do that yet.
Oh, they're much better. They're much better at plugging than we are.
Everyone is.
Well, I'm going to plagiarize a lot what they just said. So, we've got a new logo, by the way. It's more of a Scottish theme. Thanks to Daniel for producing it. Me and Paul like to sometimes talk about movies and TV, occasionally football. And we're on all the things. We're on YouTube too. Anchor. Hive sounds interesting. We've got buy me a coffee. We've only got a $5, and it was my fiance's cousin. So thanks, Stephen. We don't have an email address, but we're kind of amusing sometimes, and we've had some guests on. So yeah, good.
I was thinking, should we plug ourselves in our own video? If people are watching it, then surely they know where we are.
I don't know. We always plug ourselves at the end of our episodes.
We need to tell them to subscribe, like, share, follow, and all the good stuff.
Right, quick question before you all go. Who's your favourite non-Cassian Andor character?
Oh,
Cyril.
Yeah, it's Cyril for me.
Or Bell Tower guy.
Easily Cyril.
What do you say, Colin? Mon Mothma.
Or Luthen. Luthen. I'll go Luthen.
I would say Luthen.
Nice. 50-50 split.
Well, guys, it's been a pleasure. Thanks everyone for listening, watching, and hope you enjoyed Andor.
No. And we can't wait for season 4 of Moisture Farm Report.
Coming. We just haven't decided when yet.
We'll be planning next week, so it's coming. It's coming soon.
Yes.
Well, hopefully have you on again in the future, and hopefully, I don't know if you do guess, but if you did, we'd love to come on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Thank you so much.
Colin likes to invite himself on.
Yes.